Welcome to Setting the Record Queer.
Collect cat. Welcome to Setting the Record Queer, a podcast where queer people talk about the pursuits and communities they love. This is episode 35, and it's about mud design. My name is Alexis, my pronouns are it, its, and she, her, and I'm one of your hosts.
My name's Kaylee, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm your other host.
You still awake, Kaylee?
No, I'm not.
Okay, good.
It's Monday. We're recording on a Monday.
Welcome to Sleeping the Record Queer, dear listeners.
Recording on Mondays is always like, oh, right, it's not the weekend anymore, and I'm tired. There is a cat on camera. Let's just talk about that. Let's give our listeners an audio description of that cat.
It's a cat.
It's small. It's a small cat.
It's a cat.
It's got fuzzy paws. It's got a floofy tail.
Yeah, the paws and the tummy are white, but its back is black with orangish rusty red spots. And it's chilling on maybe the
it's doing
top
a scratch.
Of the couch.
It's doing a scratch.
Just licked itself.
Oh, this has got to be the least pleasant experience for someone who doesn't have video.
Just Google image search cute cat. It's like that. Thank you. That'll be all for this week on Catting the Record Queer. Which is a thing I think should exist personally. With how many times I was just telling Kaylee about this. With how many times we get recordings interrupted by cats jumping onto guests' laps and or keyboards or in front of monitors. I feel like we should do something with that, but I haven't quite figured out what yet. Anyways, listeners, if you have ideas for how we can incorporate cats into our brand, I'm all ears.
Also, if this is your first time listening, I promise that our intro segments aren't usually this bad.
Wow. Wow. I don't know, I feel like talking about cats is a step up from our usual boring life report.
We haven't done anything, is the problem.
Yeah, our lives aren't very exciting.
Been working. That's about it.
Yeah. We visited my parents. They gave us cookies.
They did give us cookies.
They're really.
And your parents' house had a lot of dirt surrounding it. And if it were to rain, which it didn't, but if it were to rain, that would become mud. And do we have any experts on wet dirt with us here today?
I suppose that fulfills the requirement listed in our show notes here of, quote, maybe just goof off for 3 minutes, end quote. But, wow, I'm disappointed. Wow. Anyways, hi, Neon. Sorry you had to put up with that. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Neongrey. My pronouns are they and them. And yeah, that was so bad. I almost don't want to tell you that the lump on the other side of me is also a cat.
Cat! I see it now. There's a hidden cat. Is this like a find all the cats puzzle? Is that what's going on here? Are there more hidden cats?
Well, as long as you're found less than 3, yes. And it's... So yes, there is at least one hidden cat to be found.
Okay, everybody, dead silence until I find this cat. This is
no,
serious
absolutely
business.
not.
Dead silence.
No,
and this isn't getting cut out.
Absolutely not. It's
I see 3 cats now. Yes, I found it. Oh, I'm so good at cat spotting.
note to the editor, can you add in some meowing noises? And if that's too much work, which it probably is, then
just
can
record
you
yourself
just...
meowing instead.
That's just as much work. Just make sure to leave me asking you to do it in, so people know that you were a coward. Okay.
Wow. We go straight from, like, super casual cat spotting to absolute demolishment on this podcast today. Jeez. Anyways, so I think we are all wise enough to figure out that Kaylee's transition there was just a bit misleading. This episode, we are not here to talk about mixtures of dirt and water, unfortunately.
Well, why did you even... What? You tricked me.
Oh, boy.
You told me... Oh, I don't... Whatever.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Your shenanigans made me lose my train of thought. Anyways, we're not here to talk about dirt and water, but we are here to talk about mud. So, Neon, why don't you define for us what a mud is in the context of your work? Because it's not dirt and water. Let's get that out of the way for, like, the third time.
That is correct. Though it does contain virtual dirt and virtual water and the mixture thereof, virtually. What a MUD is, that's an acronym. It is short for Multi-User Dungeon. These started, I believe, in the late 80s. Got pretty big in the big 90s. What they are is basically the original MMO. To the point where when EverQuest, which was the first big 3D one, came out, there were some concerns at the time that it was actually using code from MUDs. I don't think it was, and I don't think anything came of that, but you can trace a direct line to, your modern World of Warcraft, your Final Fantasy XIV, all of that. You can trace a direct line from those all the way back down to these little text-based RPGs that people were playing over Telnet way back when. So, for my purposes, it is a... it's a role-playing game. People pretend to be wizards and, people who hit people with swords and all of that good stuff. And, that's what it is.
So, I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, that before leaping into designing MUDs, you, at some point in your life, presumably have played one.
Yes, I have. There's still, hundreds to thousands around. There's obviously not as many as there were. But, I got my start just poking around different MUDs. Back around the late 90s, I got into the one that I work on, which is called Avendar, the Crucible of Legends. I got into it around, I want to say 2002 or 2003, which, please don't tell me how long ago that was. I don't want to know.
2 years.
Oh, good.
So, you've been working on one game this entire time?
I've been playing it the entire time. I came on as game staff in 2008, which that was yesterday. Yeah, that was yeah.
It's 3 years from now. That's when we released episode 29, I think. I forget which episodes have the time travel jokes. I can't keep track.
I need to Google popular media in 2005 so I can make some topical humor.
Go, make some topical humor, babe. Nintendo GameCube, got him. No, wait, by that point the Wii was out, wasn't it? Ugh, I don't untopical.
Think the Wii
I can't
was
believe
out yet.
I'm still back in 2002, honestly.
I don't think there was the Wii yet.
Have you seen Batman Begins?
That sounds right.
Okay, this is enough of this joke. Let's move on.
Yes, it's old.
I think our failure to start the joke was enough of the joke.
Oh, that new Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith, did not like it that much.
Sure, there's an only good Star Wars joke somewhere, but it's not about Revenge of the Sith.
Anyway, let's get back on topic. So, when you got involved developing mods, how did that happen? And why?
Well, what was going on at the time was, back in 2008, the game was dying. And I say that, it's easy to just say, oh, it's always dying. It's fewer and fewer people want to do this, but that's not necessarily true. But the game was in a really bad state. Everybody who was running the game had basically been moving on with their lives. And at that point, I had been waiting for something that I had been told by a member of the game staff who, in addition to actually maintaining and building the game, also take on sort of like a pseudo GM role where, they'll play the gods and, they'll animate various mobs, which are, the NPCs, all of that. So you get sort of a bit of that tabletop RPG campaign feel to it also. But I have been waiting for something that I've been promised to get. My character had been a follower of the God of Law. He put his application in, he was a good follower, I was told by the member of staff that, yeah, everything checks out, we'll just go over this, and then we will get you your official recognition from your god. We'll take care of this next week. Next week happened 16 times. At that point, I kind of went to the person that I'd been talking to, who was on the game staff, and I was like, look, I don't like you, and you don't like me, because we didn't. And I was like, but I know what I'm doing. I've got the time, I can help. I had previously done some work with trying to set up a player wiki documenting the various skills. I was like, look, the game's documentation is awful. I can rewrite this stuff. And with some reluctance on the part of the game staff, because, entirely male game staff, to dealing with someone who everybody involved thought was a girl at the time in the early 2000s. That always goes well. But they let me on, and I proceeded to start overhauling the game's documentation. And at that point, I had complete control over the game's documentation because they didn't have any division in that. So this meant that I had the ability to make up change logs. So I padded and I spun and I took writing out the entire. It was like I would do one player class at a time, and I managed to pad that out into big old change logs for people to look at, so people would think that, hey, somebody's actually running this game. So what ended up happening was I was producing these change logs that were basically just, hey, I updated some documentation into these lengthy things, and that got people interested again because they were like, oh wow, somebody's actually working on this. And then I held down the fort doing that for a couple months until we actually got some other people coming on and coming back to try and get more work done. And at that point, we started transitioning from that, just straight up documentation only, to starting to rework the game's class system, because at that point, most of the game's playable classes had been not touched in about 10 years. So basically, since it went live with very little changes, so we started reworking things to make things more playable and fun. And ever since then, in various ways, me and, people who've come and gone, been around the whole time, we have been struggling to drag this ancient, shambling, text-based mess of a game into the 21st century, into something that vaguely resembles a good game.
So, what exact role do you have on the team now? Obviously you started as, I write documentation, but clearly you've done a lot more since then. With what current staff there is, what sort of division of labor is there?
Well, what it is, we also had another rebirth a couple years back where the game went down completely. It had been maintained, even if in an absentee sense, by the original creator. And we eventually, I and my writing partner had, we stepped in after it went down completely, and we took over, we restored it from a backup, and we put the game back up. So at this point, I am the closest thing there is to an owner. I don't deal with the actual game code. There's a lot of internal game scripting that I do. There's world and setting design. There's still the documentation that I am the only person who's allowed to touch that because it is very fiddly to actually input. So I still write and input all of that. Me and the team, we all work together doing a lot of the design. And by design, what goes into that is, if it's a game class, it'll be, conceptualizing what's going on with the class, skills that they should do, how they fit into the world. And then there's also, the setting design of it where, we're creating a living fantasy world out of this. And it's got entirely too many years of history to it, so we're able to pretty thoroughly discuss and work out, what would make sense for this world. And, I do less than probably ideal. There's also, some of that GM-style interaction with the players where I'm, helping them out do their things. And there is also, sadly, rules enforcement, because, even in a niche interest game like this, you still have people who are going to be like, well, I want to do this thing that's going to wreck things for other people. And you still got to go, maybe don't do that. So basically, I do everything but actual code touching, which is a lot of different things. We're also currently working on overhauling our website to make it look less like it was, designed in 2005, and to actually have helpful information, which, fingers crossed, we should actually have that up and running in some form by the time all of you are hearing this, so hope for me, please.
I believe.
Listeners, you might be on the bus or driving or doing holding very heavy boxes, but I need you to put your hands in the air to give your energy to Neon.
And,
in the past, because it would have already happened.
Yes, and send it to our dear other web helper, Tasky. Hope you're listening to this. I hope that in the past everything worked out, and I hope I didn't flake, like I'm probably going to do.
No.
But she is a machine. I love her. We brought her on a couple years ago. She's a long-time player of the game. She's been brilliant. Took to actually building the game world like a duck to water, and she's so good. I love her. Hi, Tasky.
So, you've been working on this game for a while now. I would put an exact number, but you asked me not to earlier in the episode.
It's been 3 years? I think we.
It's been negative 3 years.
Yes, of course, negative 17 years.
Yes.
It's
The year is 1996. We are the
Something
first
like
podcast.
Oh man, we're gonna be rich.
Do you have any either learning experiences or accomplishments that you'd like to highlight in your time working on the game?
Oh gosh, a lot.
Just pick one or two.
Yeah. I think, honestly, my favorite, it comes a lot down to, to world design. And I mean, by and large, the gameplay environment, the way it works is, you'll build, like, a little zone, like, like a zone in an MMO, and, you slap that onto the game, and if it's done well, you make a coherent world. The thing about this is that the bulk of the world, not all of it, but the bulk of the world was made and constructed by a bunch of well-meaning white guys in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Oh boy.
I see where that...
I can tell by your tone that this is clearly a good thing.
Most of them were trying to do well. Most of them weren't even too far off the mark. Like, you can see in a lot of the old stuff that, there were at least efforts made to be like, hey, women are good. Women should actually be doing things besides sitting there in titty armor. I shouldn't say titty armor.
Titty armor's fine.
Okay, good. You'll still get a lot of these textual descriptions of women where it's, oh, she's middle-aged, but she's still beautiful.
Oof.
Yeah. So a lot of that is probably the best way to put it. And the big learning experience there is, of course, as time goes on, seeing more and more of that and being able to go, we should fix that. We can fix that. Yay, we fixed that. And there's still a lot of that kicking around, unfortunately. And of course, just due to the nature of when it was done, who was doing it, it was all, very binary. One of the favorite just little things that I was able to push for, and that Ninja, our coder, and then my writing partner, ended up finally implementing was a little thing in character generation. You do have to pick, how the game's going to refer to you, and, it doesn't ask you. It's no longer a binary question. You can now just pick, it's just due to the nature of the game, we can't do anything too complex, but, and then the way it has to actually, like, fill in sentences. But now you can create a character. It will go M, F, or N. And if you go with N, it will, it'll they you the whole time.
Gender? No.
Yeah. And I'm really proud of that. The fact that, just giving that option, and that just as writing goes, we've managed to slowly pull the game away from, that ironclad assumption of parts that goes along with how the game's referring to you. Because, like, for me, like, when I started out playing the game, I thought I was completely 100% a girl. That's what I thought. Turns out, I'm only sometimes a girl, and being able to, and, I spend most of the time in some nebulous in-between state, and now in my video game, I can play that. And we've actually gone a long way to implementing various ways that, say you change things around as you're playing your character. There's a few different mechanical ways you can do that. And as I've always said, if you don't want to do one of those mechanical ways, just ask somebody on the game staff. It's a 1-second flip toggle. We will change you to whatever you want over. If you don't want to roleplay it out, you just want to be, my character's a boy now, you can go, okay, you're a boy now.
You just sit down, look at the sky, say, God, make me a girl. Done.
Yeah.
That's how real life should be too, TBH.
I mean, it kinda is. You just don't need the God part.
So much
I mean, you can if you want to. It's optional.
Yeah.
I suppose. I mean, as always, the question of, like, make me an X. Oh, you're already an X. Like, that's nice, but I still have to go through a whole lot of process before I can really participate in a life where I feel like an X. Anyways.
I would prefer if you didn't become an X.
I'm just gonna become the letter X.
That was not the joke I was
my gender's
making.
not X. No, I am an X. It's like those boys from Paper Mario: The 1,000-Year Door. I'm trying to keep a straight face right now, and a cat just jumped onto the camera again. Cat. Anyways, I'm an X. Joke gone. Cat here.
She's such a good cat. Look, she's grooving.
Very important.
I'm gonna move the podcast forward before we spend another 20 minutes on cats that no one but us can see.
I was the first person to add a petable cat to the game. I will say that.
Hey, are there petable dogs? Have you tried getting on the Twitter?
There are dogs. I'm sure some of them must be petable. We have a blink dog. He will pop up and he will teleport around the game and bark and chase imaginary rabbits. Oh wait, yes, there is a petable wolf puppy, and I actually made a quest where it's part of a class quest where you end up getting a power out of it. But in part of the process, you make a toy and you play with this lightning wolf puppy up in the mountain in the sky. And you get to keep the toy and play with that puppy whenever you want.
And you didn't put that as your dev accomplishment? And also, at Can You Pet the Dog on Twitter. I know you listen, probably.
I should, and
They definitely don't.
Yeah.
They definitely don't.
They should.
They should. Listeners, what I want you to do is not at the Can I Pet Your Dog account. Please don't harass them with this.
Well, I mean, there's a line between harassing and offering publicity to a small scale gaming project that just so happens to have a petable dog.
Alright, at them about the game, don't at them about the podcast. They don't care. You can't pet the dog in the podcast.
Why not? I guess because we all have cats.
You know what? I'm gonna say the word dog after the sentence, and I want you to pet your phone. Dog. I guess I'm assuming you listen on a phone. Alexis has patted her microphone, which I'm sure has no audio repercussions.
Yes, I'm sure our wonderful editor isn't disappointed with me at all whatsoever, but surely you understand, Thrill Me. I had to pet the dog. I had to pet that concept of a dog that existed within our podcast.
Now add some barking sounds, or you're a coward.
Anyways, so for something like this, what sort of development process is there, and what sort of tools are you using to sort of construct, or rather reconstruct, this game and modify it over time?
I will start with the tools because that is the easiest question. We use a MUD client, which is just a fancy Telnet client.
What is a Telnet client?
Oh boy, Telnet is an antique internet protocol through which MUDs are played. And so a Telnet client is just... It's a program that'll connect via Telnet. And a MUD client is a fancy version of that, which will have like specialized tools like color processing, that kind of thing. Some MUDs have lots of colors. I always like to say it's like a unicorn poop Skittles everywhere on them. We tend to do less than that. But a mud client, that's what we use to play the game. Most actual input is, directly within the game. We've got, a little development site and a live version. So we will be building the game on that. Stuff that isn't actually input directly via the mud client is worked on. We all have our favorite tools. I use TextPad, a text editor, for writing in plain text. It's like Notepad, but it's got lines. It shows line numbers, and it's slightly nicer. Because I got it free through school ages ago. We'll use Google Docs sometimes to share things. Most of our development work is, discussion amongst the staff, which we just do on Discord. So it's I was about to say astonishingly, but it's not astonishing at all. It's incredibly low tech, and it's about where it would be, where you'd expect for working on a game that started in 1998.
I mean, it's no secret on this podcast that I'm a fan of old technology, and I always appreciate things like that. The pure simplicity of a text editor is fantastic.
Yeah.
There's just text. It's
and
great.
I don't even use a spell checker. Cause
spell checking is for cowards who aren't afraid of cool typos that make them say stupid things.
So many typos. I spell good, but typos, and this is a player versus player mud. So you learn to type very fast. Less so lately, just because, the game's gotten friendlier over time, just as how people play games have changed. But back when I started, if you didn't type extremely fast, you were going to die to another player very quickly.
Really? It's I kind of assumed it was like a players versus the world game. It's a PvP game primarily?
Yes. Well, it's that and the world. So you got both your player versus player and your player versus environment sort of thing. Like, a lot of the main conflict is, intended to be driven between players. We've got our various different sides and factions that you can join with, and we like when people fight. And a lot of the actual class balance that we have is oriented to, what'll happen if, this player might fight this player with this class and this class. So it's got both, and like I said, there's a lot less of PvP going on lately, just because, people are cuddlier, and I don't mean that in a bad way. But, because we do have some, it can be punishing when another player kills you. You might lose things. People will take your stuff. And of course that makes people unhappy. And lately, you don't want to make other players unhappy. And actually, the question of how do we get people fighting in ways that won't make them unhappy at the same time is a question that we've actively been working on. And I think eventually I mean soon, because it's in our pipeline. We've got some very interesting things coming forward in the future for that, which hopefully should take a lot of the sting out of that and get people interested in working out those conflicts as the game intended, by lets you and them fight.
Cool.
Well, we know that there's the community of the game you play, of the player base. Is there an expanded community of MUD developers that beyond just, a separate community beyond the players of who you interact with? And what is that community like of the players of the game? And would you say that you've done a lot to foster a nice environment, or would you say that yours is pretty typical of these games in the first place?
I would say that our community is incredibly atypical. just because there is a larger mud development community. We're not really very involved in that. This actually goes back to, way back when muds were pretty fragmented. There was a lot of people get weirdly proprietary about muds just because I think, you get super invested in playing a single game rather than playing a bunch because, most muds your character will live 4 years. You will be playing the same character, whether it's a game where you actively roleplay or not, literally 4 years. We give characters a shelf life of about 6 months to a year. But so people get really invested in that, and there's a sense in a lot of ways that you're only playing one game and trying to there's a weird sense of like poaching that I think hasn't always been healthy. And the other thing too is a lot of the greater mud community is often very calcified, let's say. I remember not all that long ago, they've got a subreddit just for muds in general where somebody was asking about games with queer themes. Most of the answers that this person got was, well, you can say you're queer if you want. There are a lot of general, like, well, why would this be a thing kind of answers. And I think I was the only one who actually put on an answer, gave this person an answer of, like, no, you can be queer. Most of the game staff is queer in some way or another. We're actively adding new and explicitly defining existing NPCs as queer. All of that. So it's actually, I think the greater mud community, as it were, is less, it's what you would expect for an antique game community. I've done a lot of effort with Avendar's community to aggressively wipe that out. We are... I think the best way I can put this is a little story about our Discord icon. Couple years back, it was June, so I just changed our Discord icon to put a little pride flag behind it, just because it's a nice thing to do. It's June. Then I, forgot to take it away, and I just left it. It's still like that, because every now and again, you get one of these people who had been, thinks it's still, 2003, 2004, and if they try and concern troll about how, oh no, why is this big old rainbow on the Discord icon? And then they go away, and everybody's happier. And this has happened only twice that it's come up, because we actually are at a place now where, and it's been a lot of work, because it's been a player versus player game that inherently gets greater toxicity, but we're actually at a place now where, the community is, we're friendly, we're friends, we care about each other's lives, we've got dads playing now, and they're being dads, and having fun. And, well, we've been making this sort of community that we want to be comfortable in. And a lot of that is, because you do have that antique aspect. You have to you have to be prepared to aggressively deal with people who think that because they used to be able to be homophobic, be transphobic, be all of that, they think that that's still okay, and it's not. And the community as a whole now has, in a vendor at least, goes, yeah, we're not okay with that. As it's how it goes. Like, a lot of us, we've had people who come in and been new, but we have people who have been around since near to the beginning. And we have people who grew up playing this game who have realized themselves that, hey, maybe I'm not as straight as I thought I was. Maybe I'm not the gender that I thought I was. And, they've grown up and they've realized that we all want to make this a comfy and cozy place for all of us. And I like that. It's, and it's hard, but, and every now and again you find somebody who, you thought would have been. This is hard to say. We have definitely lost members of the community over this, but in doing so, I think there's an underserved group. There's people who want to play bots, who want to play these weird antique role-playing games, who, don't find themselves welcomed by, oh, you can play a gay character, I guess, or they don't mind if you play a girl, I guess, and there's still elements of these things where it's that bad still. And, it's underserved, and, I want to make a place where it's like, you're ultimately, we're all role-playing power fantasy, and in world and setting design, I don't want to make, there's problems that I like to look into, but things like, playing out your own oppression is something that I don't think anybody should have to do.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
I like to make a world, and I like to make a game where those of us who want to play these weird antique games can without having to do that, and that's sadly rare. So, it's taken a lot of work, but the community's good now, and I like that. And we're all friendly. And we're all very gay now.
Hell yeah. Well, it's really awesome to see how, despite the clearly, lengthy and arduous journey it took, that you've carved out a really good place in this world of MUDs. So what's happening right now in the Avendar or in the wider MUD community? Do your games run events, or is there, anything going on in the player base or in the, wider meta communities of the Discords, the subreddit, anything like that of note?
Well, again, I can't really say about, the MUD subreddit in general. I know that they like to do a monthly pick a MUD and go and look at that. Right now, we are hard at work on our next major update, which is going to feature a major class overhaul. We keep those secret just because, we don't like people dogpiling onto a class right before it gets fixed, because that just makes it harder to actually update everybody's characters. But we're working on our major overhaul there. We're also adding a super secret, super awesome subsystem that's going to come. It's incredibly awesome. It is a prototype for other work that will also be coming. I know we don't have anything planned right now, but I know people were talking about running some sort of event. I hope we can do some kind of something. We are working hard and, again, hopefully getting our website relaunched, which that will be huge just by itself. Having a website that's actually useful and not made by a bad person. But
sounds like you've got plenty on your...
Yes, yeah, we're all very busy. Very busy.
Yeah, that sounds like plenty on your plate for sure. So, for all of our listeners, if any of them have heard all of this and are, their interests have been piqued and they want to get started, whether playing mods or even possibly lending a hand to your development team, whether they've played or maybe even not, where would they look to get started?
Well, we have our website. That's avendar.net, avendar.net. But the best place, I would say, is also our Discord. That is discord.gg, obviously, /avendar, AVENDAR. Got one of those nice fancy custom URLs, so it's easy to plug on a podcast. And everybody is super friendly there. We are not secretive at all about game knowledge. We encourage everybody who might be interested in doing anything for us, with us, to hop in and learn the game, play around with it. We love new people, and we love, we love helping. We will gladly show you around and, tell you what you need to do to start getting into the game and hopefully start loving the game.
And with everything you mentioned that's coming up for Avendar soon, what's on your plate for the next couple of months?
Well, personally, I should be helping out with the website. I've got a little zone that I would maybe possibly like to have ready for this. I don't know if it's going to be possible. It's been something that I've been working off and on for ages. But little set piece, little area to just show off, just people living around in the world, which I think, and otherwise too, just talking over, design. We were actually, right up until we started recording, we were discussing a possible major alternate spin for one of the game's playable species, and trying to do something unique there with them. They're already fairly unique, and gosh, it is baked into the game because it is, and it has to be, but oh boy, it is fun in the biggest air quotes in the world that I'm not making because I'm petting a cat, who's off camera, to try and make playable race and species in a fantasy game not be gross as all get out. We're doing our best. Can't promise we're succeeding, but we're trying to untangle it from every bad thing we can think of. Because, we've got all these options you can play as that aren't human, and I personally think humans are kind of boring to be, because I live as a human. I don't really want to play one in a video game. So, we want to make this different and fun without it also being gross, and so trying to make that work. And so we were just talking over a new idea for that. Literally a little more than an hour ago. So lots of things. It's hard to say what specifically I'll be doing, just because I can and do a little bit of everything, really. And there's always a lot of things that need to be done. All I can say for sure is that when this update gets ready to ship, it's going to end with a 2 or 3 day bonanza of me being chained to a desk, writing documentation, because that is the last thing we do, just because I don't want to have to change something I wrote if we change how it works.
Alright, so we have a bit of a unique performance showcase here. Alexis, do you want to explain what's about to happen?
Well, you see, dear listeners, right now, here in real time, Kaylee is going to do a Let's Play.
Yep, a videoless Let's Play, but it is text-based, so it should be fine.
Yeah, so Kaylee is going to log into Avendar and play it and, read what she's doing. We're going to have live developer commentary and my reactions, probably, and suggestions. Maybe. She'll probably ignore them, but, that's fine.
We will also have Neon here giving commentary and saying whatever needs to be said.
Sure.
And we'll do this for a few minutes before getting back to, a normal podcast and not this weird audio-only Let's Play experience. What's up, everybody? I'm your favorite host, Tubi Tubes. And before we begin, remember to like, smash that bell, hit that subscribe button, and hit that like. All right,
Performance Showcase is over. Thank you all so much for listening.
Today, we're here to play a game called Avendar. And I hear, just right off the bat, I'm on the home screen, and I've got a picture of a castle, which I think might be the only picture we see. There's some credits, and under what name shall your deeds be recorded?
Butts.
This is online, so it's not gonna be butts. If this was solo, I would be okay with butts, but we're gonna have other players.
Oh, go ahead and put in butts and see what happens.
Alright.
I'm a very good Let's Play fan.
Okay, so under what name shall your deeds be recorded? Butts. And, it didn't advance at all?
You might need to reconnect.
Yeah, I think I might need to reconnect. Butts. We don't have a character named Butts.
Oh.
Well, that's unfortunate.
You should say yes.
Yes, we don't have a character named Butts. Would you like to create a character named Butts? Yes or no? Name guidelines.
Yes.
Avendar is an early modern era fantasy role-playing game.
I'm very proud
Names
of that.
must be original.
It used to say medieval. It's not medieval. It's early modern.
Names
this is
must...
the most pedantic thing.
Well, it does say early modern now. Names must be original. It may not be a dictionary word borrowed from other fantasy settings or in a modern English language use. I feel like I've broken a rule here. This is a given name. Don't use names like Troll Killer or variations of English words, such as orange, mean, or ugly, spelled O-R-A-N-J-E, M-E-E-N, or U-G-L-I-E.
That's what I like to call a do not put hand to chainsaw rule, where it's, somebody has done this. And I once had to talk to somebody who was named their character Toxin, T-O-X-Y-N. And I was like, please, no.
Be respectful of other players who will have to type it. If you need help choosing a name, visit the website. And I'm not just going to read out URLs. And for more details, read Help Me. I appear to be violating a rule, so I am going to pick a different name.
Aww.
As you can see, our question right there. Does your name fit these conditions?
Oh, and it did. So, alright. We are now going to start the adventures of Arxeria, I guess. That's what I typed. Oh, never mind. Arciria. Arxeria. Don't have a character named Arxeria. I'd be very surprised if you did. It's basically random.
Yeah.
Yes, we don't have a character named Arxeria. Would you like to create Arxeria? Absolutely.
Woo!
Surname. Oh, I needed a surname.
You don't have to.
Okay, surnames may be chosen at creation, but are not required. Arxeria has no need for surnames. Follows the same general rules as a given name. Capitalization. Mid-name is acceptable, such as McDougal. Lowercase lead-ins are acceptable within reason. Well, I think my nothing is okay. Please enter a surname or enter for none. Surnames must be at least 4 characters long. I have no need for a surname. Color. Avendar, like most mods, uses color text to help highlight what is happening during play. This includes communication channels, damage dealt or received, and many other uses. Regardless of your selection, it may be toggled at any time with the color command. I'm going to put yes, although you will not be able to see it. Do you wish to use ANSI colors? Password selection. A bunch of password rules. I'm just going to type in a password. And I am not going to share that part.
Oh, that's no fun.
I'm not going to remember this password tomorrow.
That's fine.
Do not forget your password. Sorry, password selection. Oh. Are you new to Avendar, Crucible of Legends? Please enter Y or N. Yes, I am new. Welcome to Avendar. We will now ask you a series of questions which will help shape your initial character. Once you've finished answering them, you'll be placed in a tutorial area to help you get comfortable with the basics. Don't worry, while it may be a lot of information to take in, there are resources at your disposal.
Do we want to, skip ahead to the, tutorial area rather than the questionnaire? I don't know what will provide the best performance showcase experience.
Certainly stuff like the account creation and all of that is not very interesting. Right after this, we start getting into things like...
I skipped a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
All right. I can pick from...
All right, so we just skipped a couple of uninteresting things, so let's pick back up with our Let's Play, wherever it is that Kaylee is.
All right, so I have choices behind the various species of Avendar here, I see. And I could read them all out, but I think I will just, I think I'll just pick one and read that one. I'm going to be an Ethron, amphibious people with green or blue skin at home in nature. So, gonna be a Zac Ethron.
Oh.
I just ruined your game.
Yeah, you did.
Ethron are green or blue-skinned humanoids who are often found in the wilderness or beneath the waves. Their hair reflects the environment in which they are found, with browns, greens, or blues. Ethron are able to breathe underwater, move silently in the wilderness, help and regenerate movement points faster in light, and good at basketball, but wants to be in the musical.
They're not good at basketball, they're short. Sorry. But they do have their very own lesbian death cult, so...
Nice. Common language.
Sounds right up my alley.
As a non-human, you natively speak your language with full fluency. You have the option of learning the common language used in much of the known world in addition to the one you already know, in exchange for a number of practices which are used for training your skills. If you are a new player, we strongly recommend spending 3 practices in common. Okay.
Yeah, that's a boring question.
Spend 3. Would you like to train in another language?
Nah.
Gender. You may choose the gender of your character during creation. We allow characters to create as gender neutral. The pronoun they will be used for such character. Okay, okay. The professions of Avendar. Be a warrior, a rogue, scholar, Templar, naturalists, and mentalists. I think naturalists fit my basketball singer that I'm making here. Okay. You don't have so I can pick a barbarian, a ranger, or druid. I don't see Zach as a class here, but I guess we'll just be a druid.
I mean, that sounds like just about what Zac Efron does.
Yeah.
Or, excuse me, Zac Efron.
Alignment. We are gonna be good. Ethos. In addition to alignment, you must also designate an ethos. We're going to be neutral good. Hometowns. It looks like my starting city will be Varbandor.
That
Enjoy
city's
your
a hole.
stay in... What?
That city's a hole.
Well, the game told me to enjoy my stay in Avendar, so I guess I'm there. Ooh, I got a bunch of information. I got a stats screen. I appear to be pretty strong and got a good constitution, and I'm fairly wise. I'm not very smart or dexterous, but I am kind of charismatic. I was born at 12 o'clock a.m. on Lyran's Day, the first day of the dawning. I'm getting hungry already, and I'm adept to traversing the wilds.
Climb tree.
Climb tree.
There are trees you can climb.
Oh, are you satisfied with this character? Yes. Character accepted. Hooray. I have 2 notes waiting. Alright, well, I think we've gone through character creation, so I think that's where we're going to leave it. I gotta say, I haven't really ever played a MUD before. This was super easy to set up. I was honestly surprised at how easy it was to get into this game.
Yay!
So if you listening are interested, I recommend checking it out. It's not as intimidating as it seems, because it seems pretty intimidating. You can play this...
Yeah, and if you have questions about any of the options, we are absolutely here to help. We're more than happy to, figure out what you might find fun, because a lot of these different classes, they all play kind of different. We got something for everybody, really.
If this seems up your alley, I super recommend it. But I think it's time to move into our next segment.
Well, I guess, before we move on, I guess I would like to know, what are the next steps for, I've already forgotten what Kaylee's character's name is.
Well, I closed the game and I forgot the password,
next?
so...
Okay, well, what would happen is, once you're created, the game will put you into the tutorial area, which is still in character, and it's an in-world place. You can't go there once you passed out of it, but it exists. It's a real institution. It is the School of Heroes, where every new adventurer goes through and they get tutorialized at, and there's lots of different little activities for learning various important things that you'll do through your day-to-day. You'll get your first levels there, and you'll learn more about the world. And once you're out of there, you're free to... you're free to explore immediately, but you're free to explore and interact with other players, say hi to them, and all of that good stuff.
Right.
Sounds like fun.
Don't forget to leave a comment down below. Tell me what you what you would like to see next, and your reactions to the video. It really helps me out. If you're watching this on YouTube, which I realize is a possibility, you can actually leave a comment, I realize. I was kidding. But please like, subscribe, and smash that bell.
I am glaring at Kaylee right now.
I
would just like to be clear about that, since this is, in fact, an audio medium and not a YouTube video.
No, we auto-export to YouTube. Some people are listening to this on YouTube.
It is audio being played on YouTube, but it is not a YouTube video.
Look,
don't get pedantic.
I know that we get five people listen on YouTube or whatever, but if one of you 5 would subscribe, and smash that bell, and leave a comment saying that you subscribed, and smashed that bell, it will make me very happy and Alexis very upset.
That's accurate. Anyways, why don't we move on to our listener questions? So for every episode of this podcast, we take questions from our listeners for us and for our guests. If you have questions for us or for any of our future guests, you can send them to us on Twitter at STRQueercast, via email at settingtherecordqueer@gmail.com, or in our Setting the Record Queer community Discord at bit.ly/strqcord, all lowercase. Our question this week is from Amelia, who asks, Amelia in Discord, who asks, what unique creative abilities do MUDs bring as a genre?
Oh boy. I mean,
that's how you know it's a good question.
You know, it's most of it is a lot of writing. You get really good at like descriptive writing, like, because obviously, it's a text-based game. Most of the world creation there is describing what people are seeing. And so you get really good at being able to, create an impression of a person, a place, or a thing without actually deciding for them what they're feeling about it. But you learn really well how to guide that sort of impression. You may not want to tell a player that this person they're looking at is beautiful. I may want you to think they're beautiful, and you get really good at sort of avoiding forcing them to think that, their character to think that, but going, this is an easy impression you can take away from that. And so you get really good at that. That's creatively like that. You get really good at sort of dealing with a really expansive, just massive world. Because a lot of it, it's creating the world that people play in rather than creating the story, because that's for the players. So you get really good at just taking that backdrop and extrapolating from what has already been done and taking it into new directions, and being able to go at this point where, let's say somebody just randomly asks, what do they eat for breakfast in this city? You get to a point where, we've got enough stuff there where we can just go, well, we know this about this city. We can go, this is what they probably eat for breakfast there. And so on and so forth to other more useful things to know. So you get really good at just, knowing about a world that doesn't exist.
Well, I think with that, it's time to move into our final section of the podcast.
Let the record state that I am very hesitant to give Kaylee control of the flow of the podcast again after what she just pulled like 10 minutes ago. But it is time for Kaylee's question of the week, yes.
Click that bell. Ding.
I'm going to make it Alexis's question of the week, I swear to gosh.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because we're actually going to do a bit of a format break here. Because rather than a normal question, we're going to have a little in-house text-based vocal adventure game for the two of you to play. Which I'm going to make up on the spot, which I'm sure will work very well. Anyway, we're going to mess with the format a bit here. Rather than it being a traditional question, we're going to play an off the top of my head, on the spot, text-based, by which I mean voice-based, adventure game with the two of you in my world. Let's see how well this goes. It's probably going to be a disaster, but we only have to play it for like 3 minutes, so how badly can I mess up in 3 minutes? Let's go.
Let's find out.
The two of you saw The two of you find yourselves in an open field. There are several trees around, and in the distance there is a large castle.
Climb tree.
You successfully climb about a quarter of the way up the tree. You are clinging to the trunk of the tree.
Climb tree.
You can't. This is as far as you were able.
Unclimb tree.
You are back on the floor.
I look at the grass for cats.
You find one cat.
Can I pet it?
Your inventory now contains one cat.
Yay! I pet the cat.
You succeed at petting the cat.
What color is the cat?
The cat is purple. And the most common color of cat in this realm.
Of course. As we all know, obviously.
In Realmington.
Okay.
New Jersey.
Walk towards castle.
Alright, you arrive at the castle gates. You find, they're closed with two guards standing in front. Upon your arrival, the guards take their spears, which are currently pointed skywards, and shove them at you. State your purpose.
Bribe with cat.
You don't have the cat.
I cuddle the cat.
Yeah, you're still over back by that. You successfully cuddle the cat. You're still over.
Yay!
I'm gonna pull a Final Fantasy XIV paladin here and request cat.
No.
The guards say one of the guards lightly jabs you with like the side of the spear so it doesn't actually hurt. Who do you think you are walking up to the castle gate and demanding cats from us?
I did not demand, I requested.
Sometimes these type of games don't get exactly what you mean right.
Ask for cat location.
There, what you bothering me for? The guard just gestures to a bunch of cats just running around the plains.
Collect cat.
With your low dexterity, you fail to catch the cat. Anyway, what were you saying?
Cat.
I try and pet the cat's belly.
You succeed at petting the cat's belly. Your cat is very happy.
Yay!
Collect cat.
You slip and fall. You are now at -1 cats.
What?
You dropped a cat. You are now at -1 cats.
But I didn't have a cat.
The game bugged out. You're now at -1 cats.
Now you need two
Collect
cats
cat.
to get one.
You've actually
I'm gonna do this
you
until it works.
lose another cat, but you've actually underflowed it. You are encumbered by cats.
Oh!
Bribe with cat.
You find yourself unable to walk back to the gate. You have too many cats.
No such thing.
Lay down, accept fate.
Alright, yeah. You eventually die.
Die happy.
I did
You
it.
die
I
in a
won. I
pile
got
of
all
cats.
the cats.
Yay. You won the game.
Neon lives happily ever after with the one cat.
Yay, I also win.
The end.
Hooray, everyone's a winner.
Well, that was the most different Achilles question of the week I think has ever been.
I got all of the cats. I won.
You actually crashed the servers. I also don't know what type of data structure goes from -1 to enough to crash the server, but there you go.
See, because normally this is the part where I'd be like, give us your answer to Kaylee's question of the week, but that doesn't work wholesale, so tell you what. If you were dropped into Kaylee's mud, tell us what your first command would be. On Twitter or via email or in the Discord, we will share our favorites.
Or better yet, tell us your plan. Tell us what you would have tried. Yeah. Because neither of these two even tried to engage with my story.
Why story when cats?
If someone might be able to uncover the story if they respond to the question.
All right, setting the record queer community. I believe in you collectively. You can solve Kaylee's puzzle. Don't be distracted by the cats. Or, I mean, do, because they're cats. It's really up to you. And I don't think there's a way to lose.
We're gonna get so many emails that all just say, I get a cat.
Collect cat.
We are going to get so many emails that just say that they collect the cat.
I mean, they're right there. There's so many of them.
And they're all gonna be from you.
Yeah, there's this perfectly good corpse here just covered in cats.
Rest in peace, Alexis. She died doing what she loved. Collect cat.
Why don't you bring us
All
home,
right.
Alexis?
Yeah. Well, with that, I think that is as good a way to end an episode as any other, if not significantly better than the rest of the scope of possibilities, because, well, let's face it involved cats, making it objectively better. So, Neon, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. This was a wonderful and very informative episode. Where can our listeners find you and your work and your game or your games?
Well, Avendar is at, again, avendar.net, avendar.net. We've got our Discord, that's discord.gg/Avendar. I've also made a twine about petting cats, that's neongrey.itch.io/pet-that-cat. You can pet a virtual cat. Yeah, happy to have you come play our mud, come hang out, even if you're not sure about how or what to play, and come out and learn or, pet my virtual cat.
And if you enjoyed this podcast, maybe consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/settingtherecordqueer. Our patrons can get early guest reveals, access to a special Discord channel, high quality or early episode releases, and even special thanks on the show. We'd like to offer our thanks to our $25 patron Jane, who you can find on Twitter as @callmekadejo. That's @callmecadejo. Otherwise, if you liked this podcast, please subscribe or leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to tell a friend and recommend us on your social media. You can find us on Twitter at STRQueercast, via email settingtherecordqueer@gmail.com, or come hang out in our Setting the Record Queer community Discord at bit.ly/STRQcord, all lowercase, where you can find other STRQ listeners, us hosts, and even some of our guests that have decided to grace us with their presences. While you're in any of those places, be sure to ask questions for us or for our guests, or send feedback about the show. Maybe you have an idea for who or what could be on this podcast. Maybe you think you'd be a good fit for this podcast. Please let us know. We're always looking for ideas. The logo for this show was drawn by Cubotic. That's at QBTIC on Twitter, or Cobot, QOBOT.tumblr.com. The theme music and production for this show is done by Thrill Me Music. You can find more information about her work at thrillmemusic.squarespace.com. Kaylee, where can our listeners find you?
People can find me on Twitter at witcheshex. That's WITCHS Hex. I'm like, I know this probably won't be the case when this airs, but I'm like 10 followers from 1,000, and so please follow me on Twitter. You can also follow SoulSync's development at SoulSyncGame.
And you can find me on Twitch and Twitter as Double Gear SYS. That's Double Gear Sys, as in Double Gear System. And you can find my Final Fantasy XIV virtual photography shenanigans over at Instagram.com/echo_white. That's EKHO_white, as in the color. Thank you so much for listening. Our next episode is going to be about a webcomics library. And with that, we will see you in 2 weeks. Be sure to collect cat.